Hi there. My name is Kay Moon, and I'm a Western astrologer and Twin Flame channel. And this is a video about the Pisces full moon lunar eclipse taking place on September 7th at 2:08 p.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, definitely check a time zone converter for your local time. Very interesting full moon lunar eclipse that we have here. I'm pumped about it. And I just wanted to say a quick thank you to everyone who booked readings with me in the month of September. September readings are now sold out. I did run a special savings for those of you who are on my private list. Thank you for taking advantage of that. I am coming to the close of doing private readings. I don't know if the close will be the month of September, the month of October, the month of November. But as I'm winding these down, and there's been less and less availability, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has trusted me to read for them over the years, everyone who's gotten a reading with me, everyone who's left a review for me for their readings. It's just been so meaningful for me that there are things that I might have to say or interpretations that I might have of your chart that have been empowering to you. I really appreciate you being a part of my journey. And as we move into this next chapter together, and I open Star Club, which will be where readings will be available. So if you haven't gotten a reading or you want to get a reading with me, it will be available to Star Club members. Definitely be on the lookout for the launch of that community. They'll be very affordable to the community as well. So I look forward to joining you on the next step of my journey and having you join me, uh, or having joining you on the next step of your journey as well. There it is. Okay. Got the words out. Here we go with our Pisces full moon lunar eclipse. And in case you missed it, here's a question I have for you. I post the videos and I know notifications come through about the videos, but I've also posted in the community post section of YouTube and asked, do you guys even see posts from the community posts? Like when I put up polls or when I share updates about what to expect with each eclipse or share videos and content. Do you guys see that? I'm not sure that you do. I definitely don't anymore. I only see notifications from creators that I subscribe to about their videos, but I never see anything from their community section anymore. Let me know in the comments below. I'm trying to figure out ways to stay in touch with you guys that don't include such lengthy introductions. I'm really grateful to all of you who listen to these introductions because if I have something to share or a savings or a discount, or I want to point you in the direction of a resource, this is where you're most likely to hear it. So, thank you for that. All right, let's get into it. Here is our full moon lunar eclipse. It is opposite Mercury in Virgo at 10 degrees there and opposite the sun, of course. And this is probably the most potent energy of this eclipse. I'm going to get into the other framing energies. We've got some big trine energy from other planetary placements, but this opposition to Mercury is a really big deal. Whenever we see Moon and Mercury in opposition, we get head and heart at odds. We get emotions and mindset not on the same page, but of a seesaw, teeter-totter, ping pong back and forth that we have to find how to balance intrinsically. We may find that what we feel and what we think don't necessarily agree with one another right now. There can be a sense of wanting to be rational, logical, practical, and pragmatic with Mercury in Virgo. Feeling of wanting to focus on these details, be productive, get things done. And then simultaneously, a sense of very emotional with Moon and Pisces, very live and let live. There can be a sense of the compassionate and little laissez-faire philosophy coming in, and not in a bad way, in a, you know what? everyone's feelings are valid here, and including mine, including yours. There can be a lot of emotional expansion here. And for some, that can lead to emotional overwhelm, while for others, that can be a sense of emotional enlightenment and spiritual growth. For all of us, with this energy, there is the option of feeling pulled in two directions at once, and a lot of nervous system regulation can be useful here. Also, working with emotions through the body, since Mercury is in the sign of the body in many ways. It's one of the physical signs, Earth sign Virgo. Dealing with emotional things as they come up through the body or through the physical form can go a long way, especially if you're feeling torn about anything or need to make a major decision at this time. So, all sorts of physical activity, such as crying, purging, and releasing physical clutter in your life. It's a great time if you like just basic stuff, like if you haven't changed your sheets in a minute, or like mopped your floor, or cleaned up your bathroom. This is a great time where you can find things like those kind of daily or routine, chore, habitual types of activities can actually lead to a sense of spiritual lightness and openness that can open up fresh energy in your heart and your mind space for new insights, ideas, and revelations. You may also find that this is a great time for detoxification. In the northern hemisphere, we have fall. In the southern hemisphere, we have spring coming in to play now. And it's a great time, these change of seasons, for a detox, whether you do a dietary change detox and you avoid certain foods and add certain foods, or a light juice cleanse. Beautiful time for that cellular release, especially again, if you've been holding anything in the physical body. Anytime we have big emotions, they do get stored at the cellular level until we've released. And so it's a great time to assist your body with that release as well. Great time to cry. If you need to watch a crying movie, or if you have a movie that you like to cry to, drop it in the comments below. I'm always curious. Sometimes I need a good cry. And so I have certain movies that I like to watch for that. It just helps me release. Because most of the time I feel the stuff and I am releasing it. I do nervous system regulation, but sometimes you just need to cry for no reason just to get it out. So it's a great time for that. This is also a good time to let go of anything in the physical that ties you to a lack of clarity emotionally. So let me break that down a little bit. Sometimes we can find ourselves in situations, relationships, and places that have an investment in us not being clear, in us being confused, in us not knowing our truth. This is one of those moments where there is a demand on us to get into clarity and make decisions through releasing that which binds us to confusion, holds us in a space of uncertainty and hesitation. This particular full moon and lunar eclipse, with this opposition to Mercury, gives us the opportunity to look at our lives and say, you know what, this person, this situation, this relationship is actually well served by me being in confusion. And I'm actually not confused. I actually do know what I want. And this is a great time for me to own that, release lack of clarity, and let the chips fall where they may in the circumstance. Faith is a really great tool here because it reminds us that in my certainty and in my knowing, I can handle what comes next, no matter what that cost is. Okay. So great opportunity here to let go of anything in the physical, people, places, circumstances that tie us to a lack of emotional clarity or releasing emotional overwhelm and rumination mentally. The reality is, many of us know what is true for us. We don't always like what that truth invites us to do or become, but we do know what we want and who we are. So, very critical energy here because this is a full moon lunar eclipse. With eclipses, we do have grand closings, grand openings, and by grand, I mean like in terms of scale and magnitude. Full moons are closures, and we get one every single month, endings, releasings, culminations. Lunar eclipses, as one of my astrology teachers, Nadia Shah, likes to say, are those endings on steroids. And we have one of those on our hands here. For those who are sensitive, you may have felt this energy as early as 90 days ago. For those of you who are super sensitive, 90 days ago would have been right around June 7th. For those of you who are slightly sensitive, you might have felt this energy closer to 60 days ago. So now we're talking about July 7th. And for those of you who are sensitive, you may have felt this energy 30 days ago. Now we're talking about August 7th. These three activation points operate as an incline toward this eclipse state. And then we'll have a de-escalation 30, 60, and 90 days out. At these activation points, you may have seen the energy I'm talking about at this lunar eclipse show itself in your life within 3 to 4 days or the week surrounding the particular activation date that I just mentioned. Let's get into what the other energies are telling and bringing into this eclipse as we roll into this eclipse's peak energy. So here we have Jupiter there in Cancer at 19 degrees, and we see the closing of a major family pattern here for many. And this could be a spiritual release of a familial legacy or inheritance that hasn't served, or the emotional release of generational patterns, especially where love, marriage, and relationship are concerned. Given Juno's involvement in this eclipse, I'm going to get into that in a moment. The reason why we're talking about family here is Jupiter sits in the sign of family. It's in the sign of Cancer. Cancer, of all the water signs, is the one that we associate with holding the totality of emotional range and scope more than any of the other 12 signs and any of the other water signs. And Cancer in particular also represents mothers and families. Like I said, families are key here. And so with this eclipse, we could see a release pertaining to anything having to do with emotions, mothers, families. Okay. Jupiter expands whatever he touches. And right now, Jupiter is in expansion of this full moon lunar eclipse there in Pisces. Because the full moon is in Pisces, our spiritual water sign, we do see a spiritual letting go of some of these emotional patterns. Okay. So, this could even just be a conscious awareness of what there is to let go of. You may not be letting go of anything right now, but as we hit the post eclipse activation points, depending upon your level of sensitivity, you may find the release happens on the other side if they haven't happened yet. This is especially true where matrilineal lines are concerned, given the moon being about mothers, Cancer also being representative of mothers, and Jupiter being in that sign. We could see that if there's any patterns related to your mom or mothering or the identity of mother or female authority figures in your life, whether you've had many or none, or you're taking on being a mother to your own inner child, where there are patterns in the construct of mothering that have not served you, this particular lunar eclipse will facilitate its release, which is a beautiful thing. It's not to say that, you have a mom that hasn't served you. It's to say we all come with patterns. We all have our human sides and our divine sides. And the opportunity every child is given is to transcend the patterns they were born into for the evolution of the genetic line. And so you may see that evolutionary energy take its place here in your life as you recognize, aha, here's a pattern I can let go of. I don't need to hold on to this in your life. Male or female, doesn't matter. But there's specifically a release having to do with matrilineal lines at this particular full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Okay. Some of you may even be having dreams about your mom or mothering, or releasing plans of becoming a mother as you shift your life plans and releasing that particular timeline from your energy. Your children may be coming to an age at this moment where they don't need you as a mother in the same way. And so there's a releasing of the grip, the hold, the identity of mother to young children in this way, where you're getting the opportunity to step into and reclaim an identity that doesn't have anything to do with being defined by the fact that you have children. So that's one way this can play out as well. Okay. Uh, if you have had the idea, or sorry, the identity of carrying being a mother with others, when what you've really wanted is to be seen as lover or as teacher or as sibling, because that's the right structure for the relationship that you were in with somebody else, or friend. If you've been mothering someone but that wasn't really what the role asked for or called for, or it wasn't intended to be that way, this lunar eclipse may help you release the identity of mother out of the dynamic so that you can be in a relationship with them that's more balanced for what it is. Okay. Now, that's a whole lot. So many different ways that it could play out. And for anyone who's lost a mother at any of those eclipse activation points, or had planned to become a mother but then lost their child, I just want to say my heart goes out to you. My heart is with you. I'm lifting you up and covering you in light and love and prayer, because I know that those releases can be extremely painful on levels that we can't even begin to comprehend, and can reverberate for a lot of time, even after the passing. So just want to put that out there for those of you who may be experiencing that. Now, if you've already heard something that resonates, definitely hit that like button and consider subscribing or sharing this with somebody who may be growing through what I'm talking about here, me bringing them a sense of peace, ease, and release as they consider moving forward and understanding the divine order in so much of what's going on here. Much of this, again, is for evolution and the transcendence of older paradigms and consciousness that we're ready to release collectively. Now, there is a trine to this full moon lunar eclipse in Juno. Juno's an energy a lot of astrologers won't talk about, but I do. She represents the wife in astrology. She represents the partner, and she is the wife, the committed partner, the contractual mate of Jupiter. And Jupiter being the husband inside of astrology, representing the male mate, she represents the female mate. Whereas Venus, many astrologers will talk about her. She's the attraction, the pull, the chemistry. She has the maiden energy. Juno has the wife, the partnership, energy. She takes what Juno brings to the table as love and attraction, and she elevates it. Juno elevates it to the level of commitment. And so, with Juno in the mix, directly trying to this full moon lunar eclipse, there can be a close of a relationship pattern, or close of a stage of relationship, such as going from in a relationship to engaged, or the opposite, from married to separated. It could be either one. There can also be some relationship anarchy going on as well. We see Juno is loosely opposite Uranus, and these post eclipse activation points are going to bring that more sharply into focus. If you're joining me for the Twin Flame Lunar Update, I'll be talking more about that there. But this closure here is because she is in the sign of endings. Scorpio is our sign of completions, endings, death, closures. And what we see is that she is conjunct Lilith and Vesta. Lilith in particular, trining this particular full moon as well, brings an energy of wanting to do things one's own way, unwillingness to compromise, brings that into Juno's essence at this time. And so this closure that we're talking about at this Pisces full moon lunar eclipse that involves Juno is really a recognition, okay, the structure of this relationship as it is, not working, and 100% willing to not compromise on trying to get it to work for me. It's going to work for me, or I'm not going to be in it, period. That is what we're seeing here at this full moon lunar eclipse, in the frequency for us collectively. Now, partnership wise, she does represent the wife, and she is talking to the husband. But you may find, especially in business settings, that Cancer can represent teams where Jupiter sets, and Juno can represent business partners and collaborators. And so you may find that this is playing out in a professional setting more than a romantic setting for you at this particular time, or a collaborative setting of some other sort, such as a project that you're involved in. Okay. So, whether it's the end of the partnership itself, or the end of an emotional pattern in the partnership, such as a way of engaging emotionally with others in relationship, the closing is here. Could also be the ending of a mindset that generated an emotional pattern, such as overgiving, undergiving, and protecting self, walking in the spirit of rejection, or the spirit of fear, or the spirit of shame, and never feeling good enough, or feeling irreparably damaged, or the spirit of offense and always looking for what others are doing wrong, creating sabotage by seeking where sabotage is. You get the idea. This is a key time for releasing stories about ourselves in partnership that have led to unhealthy dynamics in partnership, because we're coming from a not whole emotional place in ourselves, especially where this has resulted in projection onto another, when what's really happening is a mirror or the reverberation of a plucked string. Here's an example. This is a conversation I have a lot with clients. I wouldn't say a lot, but I would say it's not uncommon. Let me put it that way. It's not rare at all. Clients will ask me, why doesn't my partner want to have sex with me? Or why don't they want to be intimate? Sometimes it's truly a health thing. Sometimes it's, like, if substances are involved, it takes away some of the access to the sacral chakra and the healthy running of chakra energy through all the chakras. But many times, what I run into as I'm reading a client is that it's not as much about the other person as it is about self-rejection in this arena, where when one looks in the mirror, one does not see a person that they even want to make love to, that they even feel good about. They don't see a body they want to touch and engage in, right? Some clients are wanting their lover or their partner to more directly want the partner to do for them what they are unwilling to do for themselves. They want the partner to make love to them when they're unwilling to even make love to themselves. And I bring this example up in particular because Juno is in the sign that deals with our sexuality and our turn on, and that's Scorpio. So this may be a theme that you may be seeing. I'm certainly seeing it in private readings as well. And some clients, here's another way this could play out. Some clients constantly feel like love rejects them, but they're walking in the spirit of rejection, attracting people who live in rejection, and thus who in turn reject them. This is a key time to release things that emotionally are incongruent with what we don't want any longer, right? You can restore turn on in relationship by stoking that turn on in yourself first. You can restore the magnetics and attraction in connection by restoring your magnetics and attraction to yourself. Are you even living a life you want to participate in? How is somebody else supposed to want it if you don't? Are you asking them to want you more than you even want you? Right? So you see how we can take some ownership for restoring the energetics of our connection through utilizing this full moon lunar eclipse for release. Okay? Emotional release of patterns that no longer serve. Right? In business, it's the same, especially where I was talking about patterns of shame, not playing big enough, walking in the spirit of offense or the spirit of fear when it comes to interactions with your business partners, really hiding your power. These sorts of things can get released now so that you can have healthier business partnerships as well. Last energy we see here is this full moon in sextile to Pholus. They're in Capricorn. Okay. Pholus in Capricorn. This will help us see a lot of our own nonsense. I like the word nonsense because it lightens it a little bit for me. It's like, oh, I don't need that. I can put that down. But, if you don't want to call it nonsense, if you want to call it wounding, if you want to call it patterning, patterning is a more neutral word there. This will help us see where we've been projecting onto others, but it's really us that are acting as our own poison, our own downfall, especially since Pholus is retrograde here in sextile to this full moon lunar eclipse. It'll be easy to see and very easy to release. This will help us release toxic emotional patterns in us that undermine what we truly want in healthy emotional dynamics with other people. Okay. So there are some signs who are going to feel this most. If you've heard something that resonates, just again, gentle reminder, hit that like button, subscribe button, or share this with a friend who may need the validation that they're just not crazy. This really is a time for this type of release so we can move into our next chapter. Now, of course, water signs are going to feel this one significantly. So if you have a sun, moon, rising, or stellium in Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, you may have been feeling this eclipse at some of those earlier activation points that I mentioned. Likewise, if you are a Virgo, Sagittarius, or Gemini, sun, moon, rising, or stellium, you may be feeling this in particular and getting a lot of heavy wake up calls about the emotional patterns that you've had and the ways that they have lent themselves to why you are where you are in relationship. Want to validate for you that you're not alone. I'm getting those messages too. We all are. And this is a great time for taking corrective action for your liberation, for your love to elevate itself in the third dimension, and to honor yourself. So, congratulations to all of us for taking those steps at this time. Hard as it may be, this is the work. This is the work. So, thank you all so much for being here. If you're joining me for the Twin Flame Lunar Update, then I'll see you over there. Take great care and bye for now.